Hi, I'm Jen. Thanks for dropping by. You know, they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It doesn't feel like that when you're in the middle of the thing that's possibly trying to kill you, though. It's easy to get bogged down with negativity and start to complain about everything that's going wrong for you. Resisting, complaining, feeling sorry for ourselves about all the bad things that are happening, that's normal. Everyone has had at least one, if not many, life-changing struggles that they've either won or lost, but have come out on the other side changed. It's how you relate and react to the challenges that really define whether you grow from the experience or wither. I made a video here about my experience of getting terminated from my job of 22 years at the age of 53. That was pretty life-changing. Nobody wants that. It's downright scary when you know you aren't in a position to retire. And even though they say hiring managers aren't allowed to consider age when making hiring decisions, I don't know anyone who actually believes that. The existential fear that I felt as a single older woman at losing my job was enormous. Now, I had planned to wait it out for that termination to happen because I was expecting a large severance package. So I did not preemptively go out and try to find a new job, even though the workplace environment I was in was so toxic. It was my choice to stay in that fraught situation. I knew the termination was coming, I just didn't know when. Look, I made no bones about the stress and anxiety that waiting for that severance package caused me. I also disclosed that I sought professional help to help me deal with it. I was on antidepressant medication, and I also visited a therapist. And this segues nicely into thanking today's video sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful and unbiased advice. You go to their site, you answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will match you with a professional who has years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. For me, as an introvert who doesn't like meeting new people and who is already experiencing extreme anxiety, I would have much preferred BetterHelp's support model because you can do it all from your phone or computer from home. Via phone call, video chat, or messaging, however you feel most comfortable. It's the easiest way to start talking to a therapist. BetterHelp can match you to a therapist usually within 48 hours. And doing it from the comfort of home, on my computer, or my phone would have cut a good chunk of that anxiety out of my life. I talk a lot about self-care and that it's okay to be selfish about looking after yourself on my channel. Well, mental health is self-care. It counts. If you think you might benefit from talking to a professional about your mental health, let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you, all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/silverandsolo or choose Silver and Solo on sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. You can also use my link, betterhelp/silverandsolo, in the description down below. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. Now, I did get the severance package in the end, and it was life-changing. It allowed me to get out of debt, put a down payment on my house, my beautiful little house. And if I had to go through that experience again, as difficult as it was, I feel that I would, mainly because I won. I didn't stew in resentment or resignation. I didn't lash out at the unfairness of it all in some sort of public display. I chose to find a silver lining in what is obviously a toxic situation and focus on that instead of allowing myself to be a victim. So that big life change happened to me just 5 years ago. And I think I started this video with it because it's still fresh in my mind. But I dealt with it by looking for angles of advantage for me and by accepting levels of risk that perhaps a younger me would not have done. And I think it's because I had experienced big life challenges before in the past, and I had learned from them. So what were these big life challenges that I experienced and made me so savvy by the age of 53? I'll tell you. I was bullied as a child, and I made a video about it here. And what it taught me was that you need to have diverse friend groups. You can't put all your eggs in one basket, that one person's opinion of you doesn't change who you are. Everyone else in your life still knows the real you. That wicked little girl was probably incredibly insecure, and who knows what else was going on in her life. But trying to make my life miserable was bound to fail, because I had other friends with the exact opposite opinion. They knew the real me. Having that perspective taught me that there are other ways of looking at challenging situations. The aggressor, the loudmouth, the authority figure doesn't always get to write the narrative. I always have other options open to me. I just have to find them. In my teens and into my 20s, well into my 20s, I played water polo competitively. I was a good player. I was tall, I was strong, I was a good swimmer, I had a hard shot, and I played for a very competitive club team, but we always seemed to come up short when it came time for the national championships. Forever the bridesmaid, never the bride. And almost every player on the national team seemed to come from that one winning team, whose coach, it happened, was also the coach of the national team. One or two players from other teams were usually invited out to national team camps and tryouts. I was invited a couple times, and 3 or 4 were chosen to round out the team, but the core members of the national team were always chosen from that one winning team, the coach's home team. Every year. It was a well-known bias across the sport, but players felt powerless to combat it. No one wanted to be blacklisted and miss their shot. Now, maybe I was good enough to make the team and maybe I wasn't. But the toxic environment and the cronyism around the selection process really left a bad taste in my mouth. And as I was gradually aging out of the sport, I was offered opportunities at the coaching level and in administration within the sport. But I just declined them all. I was over it. I was done. I wanted to be gone from the sport. Lesson learned? If you're leading a team, then it's very safe to keep the circle small and closed. Only promote from within your own ranks and rarely consider or bring in outsiders. But that also means that you miss out on a wide range of talent and diverse perspectives. If your goal is to protect your position and keep things the same so that you're always in control, you're always the smartest person in the room, then just keep refusing to bring in outsiders. If your goal is to improve, to expand, and to innovate, you need to recruit the best from anywhere, from everywhere. From within, yes, but don't play favorites and keep the big picture in mind. In my life outside of the water polo world, which has been 30 years almost, I've really embraced this. I look for outliers and I try to surround myself with people who are smarter than me, who have different skills than me, people who can teach me something. I try to learn from them and absorb a little bit of the thing that makes them special and awesome. I think I'm a far better person for it. I changed my university major 3 times and took 8 years to actually graduate. I was always an academic, a reader, a writer. I kept a diary and then a journal well into my 30s. I'm not sure why I stopped. I may have to get back on that. But when it came time to go to university and choose what I was going to study, my mother was dead set against me doing an English degree. She wanted me to have a career. And so, for this reason, a degree in business administration was decided upon for me. Such a bad idea. You see, I hate math. I'm bad at math. Even street addresses that are made of numbers confuse me. I can't remember them. If you tell me that you live on Oak Street, I will remember that to my dying day, and I will find Oak Street in even a spider's nest of bad urban planning. But if you tell me you live on 151st Avenue North, I will need a GPS every time, and I will ask you a dozen times for the address again. Please don't leave me comments that it's easy to find 151st Avenue North. It's going to be between 150th and 152nd, and that streets run perpendicular to avenues, and then you just travel along one street and count upwards. I know all of that. I know it. Don't leave me a comment that says that. It's not easy for me. My brain does not work like that. A business degree was going to be a disaster from day one, and it was. I dropped out after first year. I took a couple years to find myself and then got accepted into the best journalism program in the country. This must be where I was meant to be, but no. You see, in journalism, everyone in first year is automatically assigned to the newspaper stream, and you are all assigned to the school newspaper as a reporter. Makes sense. As a reporter for the school newspaper, you are sent out on assignments, and you must talk to people, strangers. Ask them about themselves, ask them about the situation you're reporting on. As an introvert, this was close to impossible for me. I transferred out of journalism and into an English program finally, which I very happily completed. A double major with psychology as well. No problems. Happy. Done. 8 years later. What was the lesson learned? Oh my God. Trust your gut. You know your wants, your needs, your competencies better than anyone else. I have never let anyone tell me what's best for me ever again. Sorry, Mom. I pulled up sticks in my mid-20s and moved to Japan to teach English. After not being able to find a job teaching, I had bills to pay. I also didn't know the first thing about Japan. I did not speak Japanese. That may have been the best decision. Doing that, the naivete that I went there with. The culture shock was huge. I had homesickness for sure. Unfamiliar food, unfamiliar drink, unfamiliar language, unfamiliar culture. They even drive on the left-hand side of the road. Everything was an adjustment, and I lived alone in an incredibly tiny apartment. It's lucky that I prefer living alone. That part of the entire experience was not hard on me, but a lot of the teachers, the Western teachers who went over at the same time as me, that was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back, was the isolation and living alone. And a lot of them gave up after only a couple months, broke their contracts and went home. For me, I went into the whole thing fully aware that I knew nothing. I knew that I knew nothing. I went in completely prepared to have to adjust everything for a completely new life. I knew that this was going to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew it was going to be completely different, and I didn't know what it would be. I was prepared for that, and I had had a little talk with myself, as people who live alone tend to do. And I had told myself, I'm going to give this my very best shot, come what may. I was going to be open to anything and up for everything. I was going to bend and adapt and learn and never say no. Within reason, nothing immoral, unethical, illegal, or overly dangerous. But new food? Yes. Work on weekends and get Monday and Tuesday off? Yes. Work evenings? Yep. Live in 160 square feet of space? Yep. No car, no family, no friends? Yes, yes, yes. Learn to speak and read Japanese? Yep. That was my mindset. I worked at my school with another Westerner, a guy from the northeastern US. He was nice, but very much in shell shock over all of the cultural differences. We'd be invited out after our evening classes to go to a local bar. It was called an izakaya. It was like a pub in Japan, local neighborhood pub type place. By the students, they would invite us out after the last class of the evening. It was their chance to get more English practice, sort of for free. But it was our chance to also ask them questions about just daily life in the area, and like how to go grocery shopping, how to use the phone, all the gadgets that we had in our apartments that we didn't know how to use them or how to get places. We could ask the students this. So it was a really good exchange. They got to show off their culture and speak more English, and we got to learn more about the culture and ask questions that we needed answers to. And it was at one of these outings to an izakaya one night that my policy of saying yes really paid off, for the first out of many times. I had a middle-aged businessman who was in one of my advanced classes, and he came out with us to an izakaya one night and was sitting across the table from me. And he ordered this dish, which to me looked like a bunch of insects with antenna and bulging eyes and feet, legs, many legs. And I was kind of staring at it, and he offered it to me. So I looked at the dish, and I looked at him and back at the dish, and he took a few of these items in his fingertips and popped them in his mouth and crunched away with a great big grin. And so I did the same. My coworker, who was sitting beside me, noped the heck out of that and just turned his head and said, no, no way. The insects, it turns out, were tiny river shrimp, and they were flash fried with a little bit of salt, and they were delicious. I love them to this day. But at first glance, for a Westerner, they look quite intimidating. Mr. Watanabe turned out to be quite a big deal and very wealthy, and after I passed his test, he invited me to join his family in viewing the cherry blossoms at the Cherry Blossom Festival. His wife made an exquisite picnic lunch, and we sat under the cherry blossom trees in a very tony area of Tokyo and ate and talked and had just generally a wonderful afternoon with his kids playing around in all of the blossoms. It was really very special. He said that I was brave to try the ebi fry, the little river shrimp, and that I seemed to be more accepting and able to adjust better to the Japanese culture. And that's why he had invited me instead of my coworker. There were uncountable other opportunities that opened up to me because I said yes. Yes to the unknown, yes to the foreign, yes to the unfamiliar. I just kept saying yes, and wonderful things happened. Lesson learned? I'm not sure it's bravery, but a determination to make the best of every situation. Be curious, be accepting of a challenge, and always stay positive. To say yes has done nothing but bring good things my way. So those are just some of the life experiences that have been extremely challenging for me, but also that I cherish the most and that have taught me the most, that I wouldn't give up, that I wouldn't change. Even as difficult as they were to go through at the time, I would not go back and not do them or to make them different. I would still endure them just because of the changes that they brought about in me for the better, for the best. Let me know what you've experienced and how it's changed you, what kind of challenges. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up and comment, and absolutely, please subscribe. See you.